Penguin Random House Audio presents The Corner, A Year in the Life of an Inner City Neighborhood by David Simon and Edward Burns. Read for you by Dion Graham, with an author's note read by David Simon. You can hold back from the suffering of the world. You have free permission to do so, and it is in accordance with your nature. But perhaps this very holding back is the one suffering you could have avoided. Kafka. Winter. Chapter 1. Fat Kurt is on the corner. He leans hard into his aluminum hospital cane, bent to this ancient business of survival. His fattened, needle-scarred hands will never again see the deep bottom of a trouser pocket. His forearms are swollen leather. His bloated legs mass up from the concrete, but then obese limbs converge on a withered torso. At the heart of the man, Fat Kurt is fat no more. "Yo, Kurt." Turning slightly, Kurt watches Junie glide over from the other side of Fayette, heading into Blue's for the evening's last shot. Kurt stops a few feet from Blue's door, and here's Mr. Blue himself, standing on the front steps of what was once his mother's pristine row home, scratching at the edges of his beard between arrivals, pocketing 2 bills from each, though it's 2 more if you need a fresh tool. No charge, of course, for share and share alike. From down the hill near Gilmore comes a short string of gunshots, too even, too deliberate for firecrackers. Barely tensing, Blue allows Junie to edge past him on the marble steps. A regular. No charge for Junie. "They shooting already," says Blue. Kurt grunts. "Motherfuckers can't tell no time." Blue smiles softly, then turns to follow Junie inside. Fat Kurt slips slowly toward Monroe, reddened eyes tracking a white boy who pulls to the curb in a battered pickup. But there's no play here. One of G Money's younger touts has already laid hands on the sale. Kurt works his way around the corner to Vine, passing Brian, who nods acknowledgement. No sale here either. Not with Brian Sampson out here working his own tired hustle, selling that baking soda. Kurt shakes his head. Brian looking to get his ass shot up again behind that Arm & Hammer shit. From down the hill, from somewhere around Hollins and Payson, this time, comes more crackling syncopation. The beginning of the deluge to come, though it isn't quite 11 yet. Kurt shrugs it off and shuffles back toward Fayette. Time enough left, he knows, to make a little money. "What's up?" Finally, a face he knows from down on Mount Street, a gaunt, dark-skinned fiend, scurrying up the hill in the hope of catching a better product. Coming right at Kurt. "What's up now?" Kurt growls assent. "Shop's open." "Something good?" Fat Kurt, the Oracle. 25 years in service on these streets, and everyone knows there's no better tout at the corner where Fayette meets Monroe. Curtis Davis is the gravel-voiced purveyor of credible information, a steadfast believer in quality control and consumer advocacy. No bullshit. No burn bags, no watered-down B&Q garbage. Fat Kurt, a tout among touts. "Might try round the way," he says, turning and gesturing with his cane toward the entrance to Vine Street. The fiend takes his hunger down the block, as Kurt gives a confirming nod to the lookout at the mouth of the alley. Slowly, the aging tout canes his way back to the corner, shuffling beneath the jaundiced glare of sodium vapor. The city has put stage lighting out here. It's harsh and direct, openly contemptuous of the scene itself. Fat Kurt is forever exposed in the ugly glow, but he can remember when dull blue light washed more gently over these deeds. A time when the neighborhood was permitted some small privacy. Now, at an hour to midnight, the corner is visible at a full block's distance. Dope and coke, coke and dope, 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. More gunshots. Fulton and Lex by the sound of it, but Kurt is still on post, waiting for the next sale, when the Western uniforms roll up for a last pass at the corner. The radio cars move slowly down Monroe, but it's not a jump out this time, just the ceremonial "I fuck" and a sullen showing of the colors. From down near Hollins and Payson again comes a long staccato string, 10 or 12 in a row, and 9mm by the report. But the police ignore it, their faces instead scanning the foot traffic, their brake lights showing red. The lookouts raise up and go. The touts, customers, and runners stream away, evaporating like mist, moving down Fayette and into the back alleys. Fat Kurt, too, turns from the police cruisers, stepping cane to foot to cane so slowly that any movement is more implied than real, just enough effort to suggest a polite, territorial retreat. From experience, Kurt knows that it will be a short visit, that no right-minded police will be out on these streets 15 minutes from now. Over his shoulder, he watches as the brake lights go dark and the cruisers roll quietly through the traffic light. First one car, then its companion heading down Monroe. Kurt, having covered barely half the distance to Lexington, turns back again. Shop is still open, but the salvos are now coming seconds apart, hitting all points on the compass. 6 in a row echoing from over by the hospital, the snap of a .22 up on Lexington, the roar of what has to be a shotgun from somewhere down on Fairmount. Time to go, thinks Kurt. Time to go before they're digging some hopper's bullet from my lonesome black ass. He staggers around the corner and up the steps to Blue's house, rapping the front door with his cane. Blue cracks the door, then gives way. Kurt slips inside. The coroner watches its aging, wise man. Fat Kurt tells them it's time to go, and the last soldiers take heed and drift in behind him. Eggy Daddy and Hungry, then Brian and Bread, and finally Kurt's brother, Dennis, who's got a hospital cane all his own since he spiked himself in the neck and caught some spine. One by one, they cross Blue's threshold and cluster together amid the cookers and candles and syringes, most of them waiting for Rita to make her rounds. Rita, the corner physician, works a rare magic, finding veins in cold, dying places where no living blood vessel has a right to be. Outside, the streets are empty. No touts, no runners, no fiends, no police either, as Kurt predicted. At 1/4 to the hour, all the radio cars are in Western District holes, parked hood to trunk behind tall warehouses and school buildings, or, better still, below something solid. All across the west side, the distinct reports of individual shots now blend into cacophony. Down Fayette Street toward the harbor, and up Fulton toward the expressway, the bright orange-yellow of muzzle flashes speckle from front steps, windows, and rooftops. They look like fireflies amid the crescendo, beautiful in their way. A window is shattered on Monroe Street, another on Lexington, and a block north on Penrose. Some fool without sense enough to come in from the rain suddenly winces, grabs his forearm, and races for the nearest doorway to examine the wound. The hour approaches, and the great layered dissonance grows even louder, the flashes of light racing up and down the streets as visible proof of this explosive percussion. It is a sound both strange and familiar, the signature sound of our time, the prideful, swelling cannonade of this failed century. Shanghai, Warsaw, Saigon, Beirut, Sarajevo, and now, in this peculiar moment of celebration, West Baltimore. On Fulton Avenue, 2 teenaged girls stand in the vestibule of their row house, ready for a run to a girlfriend's apartment on Lexington. They start down the steps, giggling, edging into the maelstrom, but they don't even make the curb when the next-door neighbor appears in his doorway, grinning drunkenly, gripping a .38 long barrel with both hands in a crude military stance, aiming up into the ether. 6 flashes light the street. The girls dive back to their front stoop. Still laughing, they peek across the marble steps as the reveler returns to his vestibule, reloads, then chimes out 6 more in perfect sequence. Like a statuette in some bastardized Swiss timepiece, the gunman drops his arm and slides backward through the door to reload again, and the girls, having timed the process, now risk the run up Fulton. They race up the block.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?